Okay, somebody has to write notes now.
Mhm.
I don't know how to do. The truth is there's probably a way. If you have AI that you pay for, there's
Yeah,
probably a
I'm
way.
gonna join all these things now.
Okay. And then, okay, so I'm going to start anyway. You'll figure it out, and you just have to listen to the share again and write notes on your own. Everybody has to write their own notes. Okay? Okay, here goes. I'm going to read to you the introduction before we wash our hands for the Hamotzi Matzah. Remember that we learned that the most important mitzvah, the Doraisa, the Torah mitzvah, on the Seder night, the Pesach Seder night, which comes out Motzei Shabbos, Saturday night, and Sunday in 2 weeks. Everybody has to consult their calendar. We have people on YouTube. I don't know. We have people from New Zealand. We have people from Australia, and of course South Africa. We know each other, but you have to consult your Jewish calendar to find out when the Seders are. But the most important mitzvah is eating matzah at the Pesach Seder, eating it correctly, eating the correct amount and the correct amount of time, and all of those things you have to look up, or your local Orthodox rabbi shul will send you. And Sephardi, Ashkenazi, you have to look up all those things. What I want to talk about today is what's not written in all of these kinds of shul handouts, and that is what are we supposed to be thinking about while we're eating the matzah? Because while we're eating the matzah, we can have all kinds of prayers, meditations. There are 6 different lefachot. There's at least 6 different meditations and thoughts and prayers and requests that you can have while you're eating and chewing the matzah without speaking. It's all in your mind. You're not allowed to speak, because we're not allowed to speak from the time that we begin to wash our hands until the end of the after we've eaten the maror and the sandwich of the maror, right? That's when we're allowed, right before we begin the suda, the meal. That's when we can start to speak. Up until then, we can't speak. So we're meditating, we're thinking in our mind, we're praying in our mind. And I'm going to read to you the introductory prayer that's written in the special Haggadah, the special Haggadahs that have all the Kabbalistic mystical information in it. There's a special introductory prayer that you say before you do Netilat Yadayim. Now you're not gonna. I could send a picture of it if you ask me to. I could send it to Rebbetzin and she can send it out to you, or if you want, I can just take a snapshot of it. It has Hashem's name in it, so it's Sheamus. You're not allowed to throw it out. That's why I prefer not to send a picture of it. But this is in my Haggadah, and I'm going to read it and translate it for you, okay? This is what we say, Kodem she'itol yadav, before you wash your hands. And you'll see in a second why he says to say this, because it's having in mind some, not all, some of the kavanot of the intentions that we have before, as we're getting ready to eat the matzah. Now, you know that eating matzah is very physical food. It's a food, it's physical. And eating is a physical experience. But the things that are happening when we're eating the food, the matzah on the Seder night, the things that are happening are very monumental in the soul of the person, and they're monumental in the universe. We don't feel that yet. You know why we don't feel it? Because we're in Gullus, because we're in exile. That's the only reason and the world is in exile. That's the only reason that we do not feel physically and emotionally. Somebody has to mute herself. That's why we don't feel the holiness and the events and what we're doing. I think maybe it's you. You have to mute yourself. We don't feel it, but this is what's happening in our soul. Okay, ready? Here goes. This is what we're going to say before we wash our hands. Now, don't think that you could write this down. And again, if you're going to be very careful with it, I'll send you you have to send me a WhatsApp, and I'll send you a picture of this so you can actually say it. But just listen to the kavanot, and you could write down the kavanot, you could write down the intentions. First we say, like before any mitzvah, we say, I'm doing this mitzvah because Hashem told me to do it in the Torah. That is kavanah rishonah. That's the first kavanah, the first intention that any Jew has ever is I'm doing this because God told me to do it in the Torah. And the Rabbanim, the Tzaddikim, the Poskim, they elaborated on how to do it. And they elaborated on how to do it because Moshe Rabbeinu taught them. We have a tradition, back, down, down, down. The oral Torah tells me exactly how, the details of how I'm supposed to fulfill the written Torah. That's the first intention. Now comes the Shem Yichud Kudshu B'Yichud Shchinte. Okay, that means, roughly translating, is I'm doing this to make a unity, a connection, a bond between Hashem and the Jewish people. Let's say it like that. I want to make Hashem's name whole. How is Hashem's name written? Hashem's name is written, the letter Yud, the letter Hey, the letter Vav, and finally the letter Hey. But Hashem's name is not, we don't pronounce it like that, and Hashem's name is not visible to us. If anybody's on YouTube and they can just send me a little note, the YouTube is telling me that the connection is unstable. If anybody's on YouTube, can you just send me a check or a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you can still hear me? Because I see a lot of people on YouTube, but my computer's telling me that my whatever. Okay, so I want to make a connection between Hashem's name, B'Shem Kol Yisrael, and I'm doing this for the whole Jewish people. Now that sounds very lofty, true, it sounds lofty, but that's what we say before every single mitzvah. Okay. Uv'Shem Kol, now here's the Uv'Shem Kol Nefashot Ruchot V'Mushamosh U'Malbusheim V'Hakrovim Lahem. And I'm saying this in the name of every single Jew and every level that Jew ever was. Shemichlalut, Asilus, Bria, Yisira, Asiya, wherever the soul is coming from, on whatever level the soul is coming from. V'cho umikol pratei Asilus, Yisira, Bria, Yisira, Asiya, v'chol parsuf Sfira. Okay, that's hard, but he's saying, and you don't have to understand what you're saying. And again, if you want to get a copy of this, you can send me, but otherwise, we're not up to the parts that's relevant to you yet. I'm just reading everything that says here. I want to do everything on every level. I want to do this mitzvah on every level that exists, on every level in every world, on every, with every level of holiness. Or I am now prepared the kayem mitzvat aseh min Torah, and this is the part that's relevant to us. I am now prepared to fulfill the mitzvah of the Torah. Lechol matzah b'layla hazot, to eat shel chag hamatzot, to eat matzah on this night of Pesach. Kasher tzivanu Hashem Elokeinu b'Torato HaKdosha, like God, our God commanded us in His holy Torah. Be'erev tochlu matzot, and here's the first pasuk. It says, at night you should eat matzot. That means the night of Pesach, the first night of Pesach, you eat matzah. V'hareinu muchan l'kayem mitzvat lo taseh, and I'm also fulfilling the mitzvah. I'm also fulfilling the how do we say that? The prohibition of not eating chametz. Zelo yochal chametz. I'm fulfilling another prohibition. I'm not eating chametz. I'm not eating anything leavened. Umitzvat lo taseh zechol machmetzet lo tuchelu. And I'm fulfilling the prohibition of not eating anything that was again leavened. Umitzvot lifrosh me'achilat chametz. And I'm fulfilling the mitzvah of not even eating anything connected to chametz. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Shivat Yamim Matzot Tochelu. You should eat matzah for 7 days. V'lav haba michlal aseh aseh. And because it says you should eat matzah for 7 days, it means you can't eat the opposite of matzah also for 7 days. And the opposite of matzah is chametz. I'm also I'm prepared to fulfill the mitzvah of not eating a mixture of chametz. Like if a piece of a bread crumb falls into something, I'm not going to eat that something. And I'm also fulfilling the mitzvah that I shouldn't see any chametz. I shouldn't own any chametz. And I'm fulfilling the prohibition that no chametz, no saor should be found in any of my possessions. And I'm doing this because I want to give Hashem pleasure and I want to do His will. And I want to do this because I'm now fixing the roots of the mitzvah in the highest places. Now again, I don't feel this, but that's exactly what I'm accomplishing. Let it be your will, God, and the God, and the God of our forefathers. Please let it be that this mitzvah that I'm about to do should be acceptable and beloved and important in your eyes. That I'm eating matzah this night, and it should be accepted to you, this mitzvah, and it should be beloved and precious to you, Hashem, that I'm doing this mitzvah after 3,333 years of exile. I'm still going to eat matzah at the Pesach Seder night. And let it be, Hashem, as if I knew what I was doing, as if I had all the intentions. Sorry, there's a truck outside. I have my windows open because it's a gorgeous day out. And it should be that as if I had all the intentions that all the tzaddikim have, and the intentions I'm supposed to have. Sorry. And I should have all the connect. I should do it right. I should think it right, and I should speak it right, and I should act right. Right, in thought, in dibur, in speech, and action. Everything that I do tonight should be perfect, 100%. And even though I don't exactly know what I'm doing, please Hashem, you know what the mitzvah could accomplish. Please Hashem, let it happen. That whatever I do, it should be acceptable in your eyes, as if the greatest tzaddikim, as the kavanas of the greatest tzaddikim. Okay, that's one prayer that we say. That's before we wash our hands in Tilas Yadayim. Now, before you wash your hands in Tilas Yadayim, you could also verbalize and say, and you can say this in any language, because remember, Pesach is Pesach. The mouth speaks. That's what Pesach means. Pesach. It also means to pass over, right? But it means that the mouth. If you divide the word Pesach into two words, Pesach means the mouth speaks, and most of us are going to say the Seder in English, meaning the story. We'll read the Haggadah, but then we'll talk about the English. We'll talk about it in our mother tongue or whatever language you're comfortable in. But before we begin eating the matzah, we're going to say So the next thing we're going to say is Hashem. This is what I say. Also, I say it before I begin the seder. Hareini mikasheret et asmi. I am absolutely hereby. Oh no, sorry. What? Didn't hear. Oh, that was before. Okay, I am hereby attaching myself. I am hereby. How much? That's the garbage truck outside making a lot of noise. I don't know if you can hear it. I'm hereby attaching myself, connecting myself to all the tzaddikim, the true tzaddikim in this world, and I want it to be that I'm on their shoulders, and that they should. Whatever actions I do, it should be with their intentions, with the highest intentions possible. Those are very high thoughts. Now we're going to go down to more practical thoughts. Okay, so number one, you said I'm doing in this introduction that I said the most important thing that you said was I'm doing this mitzvah of eating matzah because Hashem said so in the Torah, and I want to fulfill all the positive commandments associated with eating matzah at the Pesach Seder night, and I want to fulfill all the prohibitions of not eating chametz and not having any chametz in my possession, because it says so in the Torah. That's kavanah number one, intention number one. Intention number two. Now, remember that you have a bunch of matzah in your hand, and I'm hoping that everybody's going to buy their shmura matzah, or Rebbetzin will deliver it to you. I'm sure she can figure that out. And so you'll have your matzah. Now you have to measure the matzah, And from year to year, I forget the measurements. So I eat a lot of matzah. And also because we're going to eat, while you eat the matzah, you can meditate. So I eat a lot of matzah on the Pesach Seder night. And we eat it 3 times. 3 times we eat matzah. The first time is when we make hamotzi. The second time is the sandwich when we make it with maror. And the third time is when we have the afikoman. So you can say all of these meditate, and by the afikoman you're already allowed to talk because the afikoman is ready after the meal when we're allowed to talk. But the first 2 times we're not allowed to talk. And so when you're going to measure your matzah before, or the person who's leading the seder. Hopefully, you're going to a seder where the person who's leading the seder knows all the amounts that they have to give out, and they'll give out to you a amount of matzah, and you're going to begin to chew. You're going to put it in your mouth, and you're going to chew it. Right? You'll say amen to the brachos of hamotzi and asher kiddishanu, and you'll start to eat. And while you start to eat, you're going to have these kavanas. Number one, the matzah is called food of emuna. Matzah is called food of emuna, and therefore you're going to ask Hashem, please God, I'm eating the matzah now. This food that I'm eating has spiritual qualities to it. It has spiritual nutrition to it, and the spiritual nutrition upgrades my belief in you, my faith in you, my belief in you, my reliance on you. So please, Hashem, my prayer is that as I eat this matzah, please let this matzah make me a person who has more emuna for the whole upcoming year until next year Pesach. Emuna is the food of emuna, food of trusting in God, believing in God, thinking about God all day long, as much as we can think about God, even while we're doing the tasks that we have to do. Because really, let's just say that you are, I don't know, you're working in a company and it's a very, very prestigious company. And you're doing your tasks, but the CEO of the company, the head of the company, is somebody very precious to you, and you want to do the tasks at your work with conscientiousness and with ne'emanut, with faithfulness. So all day long, you think while you're doing your tasks, but you're remembering that who you're working for. Let's just say, for example, you got a job, for working for a tzaddik. Let's say you got a job working for a tzaddik. That's a very, very big, um, uh, how do you say, a merit to work for a tzaddik. And so if you're working for a tzaddik, mazel tov aviva. Aviva mazel tov. We just heard your simcha.
Oh,
If you're working for a tzaddik, then every second that you're making phone calls or you're doing the accounting, or whatever you're doing, but you're doing it for the tzaddik, so it's a very exciting thing to do. So that's what emuna is. Emuna is all day long and all year long and every time I am working for Hashem, and therefore I want to be excited about it. I want to think about Hashem all the time. That's emuna. If you think about Hashem all the time, then you don't get scared, you don't get anything, and you're developing your love for Hashem. Emuna is also ahava, loving Hashem and trusting Hashem and leaning on Hashem and talking to Hashem all day long. That's how Jewish people are. We talk to God all day long. That's number one. Number two, emuna, matzah is called the food, the Zohar says, it's called the food of healing. It's the best medicine in the world. Okay, this is a very, very important thing to know, that if a person is not well, so there's many different levels of a person not being well, but a person has to believe, there's such a thing called a placebo. A placebo means if a person's not well, I know a woman, she's already in the next world. She had a disease, and her husband didn't want to tell her what she had. So he told the doctors, don't tell her what she has. Instead, tell her that she's okay, but she just needs to take very heavy duty vitamins, which you will prescribe. And that's what they told this woman. She had an issue, and they said to her, it's fine, but you have to take these very, very heavy duty vitamins that they're going to administer intravenously, etc., etc. This woman had a very, very serious disease, but she believed the doctors and she believed her husband. They were giving her very serious medications in the intravenous, but she never had any side effects, and she was fine. And she lived for many, many, many years in a very precarious, healthy stage of her illness, but she didn't know she was sick. And she thought that whatever vitamins they were giving her, these super duper, heavy duty, whatever. And then years after, she lived like that for years. It was a chesed of Hashem, and it was a miracle. And then by accident, the nurse, when she had one of her treatments, the nurse mentioned to her what her story was, what her real disease was. She mentioned that word, and the woman was terribly aggravated, agitated, and she realized that the whole thing, all the years, that's what she had, and somehow her mind couldn't handle it, and within a week she was gone because the mind is so strong. When you want to heal, you will heal. And when you don't want to heal, no matter what they do, you're not going to heal. And some people hold on to disease. They hold on to illness. They hold on to weakness. It's serving them in some way. It's somehow serving them, whether they can't deal with life. I can't judge anybody, nor can I describe all the different parameters. But you should just know that the matzah is the best medicine in the world. The matzah at the Seder night, specifically the first Seder night, can heal everything. So ask Hashem, please Hashem, I'm eating this matzah now. I want you to heal me. I want this to be the medicine that my body needs for the whole upcoming year until I eat it again next year, Pesach. And this year Pesach, maybe it'll be this year Pesach, the Beis Hamikdash will come. We still could have Hashem can do anything. In a second, the world can change. In one split second, the world can change. It's up to Hashem when He decides. When He decides, we might be eating Korban Pesach this year. We don't even know. It could happen. It really could happen. But last year, we didn't eat Korban Pesach, the Pesach sacrifice, the lamb. We didn't eat it. But last year, the matzah that we ate it healed us and it cured us. It kept us alive all year long. So have that intention in mind, and you're going to save little pieces of matzah. I try to save a little piece from each thing because we eat matzah 3 times in the Seder. The first, second, I take a little piece of matzah, I put it on the side, I put it in a little plastic bag, and all year long, whenever anybody needs it, I take a little crumb of it, put it into a cup of tea. Because it's powerful. It's most powerful at the Seder, and utilize it. And if there's anybody in your house, tell them this. Tell them at the Seder. Share this information. I think I learned this with you last year. I want to review it every year. We want to review it. Share this with people in your Seder. That right now, these are the kavanot that you could have. Okay. Next, the third kavanah, the next kavanah, the next intention that you could have, and you're in your mind, you're davening. So how do I eat my matzah? I eat with my eyes closed. I don't want to look at anybody. I need this time to be just me and Hashem without distractions. I eat. I have my, they give us the matzah. We sometimes put it in a little plastic bag to keep it organized and to keep it from getting mixed up with all the other foods. And I just keep taking and thinking and davening, and when my eyes close, please Hashem, and you can have in mind for other people who need a refuah, for everybody in the whole Jewish people who need a refuah, and chas v'shalom if the shvuyim are not set free by then, which they probably will be, whatever, and their families and they need rehabilitation. Everybody have in mind, every single Jew, that they should have a healing. Okay, next. The matzah is this is a teaching from Rebbetzin from Lublin, that the matzah eating the matzah and the Pesach Seder is a very holy thing to do. It's the only food that we eat all year long that has status of Beis Hamikdash food. It has status of Beis Hamikdash food, and so you want to elevate your holiness in general. You want to be in control of your eating. You want to eat not just you're praying. This is the third thing you're praying about. I want to eat kosher. For the rest of my life, I want to eat kosher. It's so interesting that one of my students told me the other day, she said for her, kosher is the hardest mitzvah. And she lives in Brooklyn, New York. That's crazy. That's like the center of kosher, except for, Eretz Yisrael. Michutz Yerushalayim. And Michutz Yisrael is the center of Brooklyn. I know you have also in London, but still, you don't have as many kosher eateries as in Brooklyn, New York. So, but she lives there, but her family doesn't keep kosher nebuch, and it's so hard. It's for her to keep kosher. So anyway, you want to pray that while you're eating, that everything that you eat should be kosher, and should be for the whole upcoming year. It should be healing for you. That you should make brachot properly. You should make a before the food bracha blessing, and after the food blessing, that you should make them with kavanah, with intention. Sorry. okay, and that you should have a healthy relationship with food. Now, that's a tricky thing to talk about because in this world, and I'm going to insult a lot of people right now, but food used to be fuel. And Baruch Hashem, we're so rich. I was in the supermarket today for my pre-Pesach shopping, meaning you have to go in stages, right? And my normal Thursday morning ride didn't come today, so I had to go locally just to see what they have. And we're so blessed. We are so rich. We have so much food, Baruch Hashem. So you want to have a healthy relationship with food. In olden days, food was fuel and it was not so available. Now we have so much food that we make it into a thing. Like it has to be beautiful, it has to be colorful, it has to be set on a table with all matching this, matching that, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing really wrong with that. As long as it doesn't become your whole essence. If Pesach is all about, you know, if there's any pressure on any level about food, then there's something that's not, there's something that's not uh, so good. So you want to have a healthy relationship with food, and also we have to pray for those kids who are anorexic and bulimic, or pray for the people who are very, very overweight and they have their bodies took over. We have to pray. So the next kavan is please let every single person have a healthy relationship with food. It should be sustaining them. It should be kosher. It should be just enough, not too much, not too little. We should try to follow what the Rambam says of eating healthy food and stopping when we're three-quarters full. So we shouldn't stuff ourselves. Of course, the Seder night we really eat. I don't know how anybody can eat a meal. I say this every single year. I don't know how anybody can eat food after the shiurim that we're having, right? After the 3 times that we eat matzah, how can you eat anything? Okay, so you have to have the traditional foods. In our house, the traditional food is a hard-boiled egg and salt water. That was always the first thing. And a little bit of soup to calm down the digestive system. That's it. Who has food? But you're supposed to eat, if you can have a meal, you could eat whatever you want to eat. But that kavanah is to have a healthy relationship with food, that I should not be overindulging. So one of my students from America happens to be a Beis Yaakov girl, like a religious girl, not a Baal Shuva. She said to me like this, because I said this once in class, like, what is this business of tablescapes? I never heard of such a thing called a tablescape. You know what's a tablescape? Maybe you know it. It's like, you have a landscape, like Hashem made beautiful mountains. And so people have, like, they set up their table and it should be pleasing to the eye. There's nothing wrong with that as long as it doesn't get crazy, like everything in life. But so she said to me, she said, our biggest Yetzer are fancy, to look nice and to make our table nice. Let us have that. That's the word. If that's the worst thing that we do in the frum world, in the religious world is, obsessed with clothing and obsessed with food, okay, it's not the worst thing. And I agreed with her. You're right. Everybody has to have some kind of a taiva. So if your taiva is that, all right, it's not the worst thing in the world. But as long as it's not affecting your mental state or your health, nobody's supposed to eat to feel better. You're supposed to eat to fuel your body. Eat healthy to fuel your body, not when you're in a bad mood. Okay, sometimes when you're in a bad mood, your levels of energy drop. So, and your sugar level drops, and then you need to eat something. So the bad mood actually jump-started a biological, physiological event. But don't eat carbs when you need to cheer up. It's not going to do you any good. It's really not going to do you any good. Okay, that's the next kavanah that we're going to have. The next kavanah we're going to have is, as you know, matzah is very skinny. It's thin. It's just very simple. Pesach flour and water. Pesach flour. You know that one of my students, she should be well. I don't know if her grandmother's still alive because this story goes back 30 years. Her grandmother was Bukharian. They're Bukharian, and when they went to America, the grandmother didn't trust anybody for kashrus. The grandmother did everything herself, including she made her own matzah. But what did she do? She bought regular flour, and then she made matzah from flour for Pesach. But she didn't buy Pesach flour because Pesach flour matzah is not available. What we get, let's say matzah flour, right? What cake meal, whatever we get, that's already matzah that's been crushed, but it's not raw flour. Anyway, what is Pesach? And I told when the girl told me this, she said, my grandmother was busy baking and she bought a special oval thing to put in the oven. She didn't know how to kash the oven. She was positive that her matzahs, which were pure chametz, sadly, were the most mahajin min mahajin, the best matzahs, and she would not eat matzah from a box. Anyway, I tried to help the lady to explain to her, but I don't speak Bukhari, so the granddaughter had explained to her that things are different in America, and the matzah in the box is actually more kosher than the matzah that she made, and she couldn't understand. How could it be I'm making matzah my whole life? Okay, maybe she used to get matzah from the matzah factory in Bukhara or whatever. Anyway, matzah is two simple ingredients, water and pure Pesach flour. And so it represents the concept of humility. And so we're eating the matzah, we're begging God to help us to be humble, to get rid of our ego, to get rid of all the external reasons why we do things. And we should just do things for the sake of God, for the sake of heaven. We shouldn't do things because we want pride, we want someone to honor us, we want someone to, pay attention to us. No, we should do everything for God's sake. Hashem created honor. The Rav always says Hashem created kavod only for him. Lichvodi barativ. Hashem made kavod, honor, glory, that we should honor God, not that we should honor ourselves. So when we're eating the matzah, and it's not so easy, first of all, this year we're not going to be exhausted by the Seder because we have Shabbos. Eza chesed. What a chesed that is. This year we're gonna have to. Everybody has to get up early because you have to have two sudot Shabbos morning before 10 o'clock in the morning, right? So you learn the laws. You have to learn the laws this year is a little more complicated, more complex, but you have to get up early. And you're going to be finishing your Sudah Shlishit, your third meal, by 10 o'clock in the morning. And then you have a lot of time to take a nap. And here in Israel, we're already changing the clocks tonight. So you have to know that we're changing the clocks tonight. So for our shir, next time you have to reconfigure. I don't know what time it's going to be by you. Do you change clocks? I don't even know if you change clocks. We're changing clocks tonight. We're making 1 hour later. And so
We
it'll
changed
be late.
Motzei Shabbos.
Okay, so good. So then we're going to be on the same time frame. So we have a long time to nap. So you have to take a nap, Shabbos. We'll take a nap so that we can be awake so we're not totally exhausted by the Seder. And I remember the last time Shabbos came out, most of Shabbos came out, the Seder, and I was trying so hard to take a nap. And when you're trying so hard to take a nap, you can't sleep. That's what happened to me. I was really, okay, I survived that. I don't know how many years ago that was. Okay, so you're asking Hashem while you're eating that matzah to let go of your ego. That's people, we don't recognize how much of our operation is with ego. Ego means my opinion, my way of doing things. That's ego. It always has to be Hashem's way. What's Hashem's ratzon? What's Hashem's desire right now? What does Hashem want me to do? Not what is convenient for me to do right now. Or so-and-so is coming to the party. There's no way I'm going to be there. That's all ego. We have to get rid of it. The first sin of mankind, Adam and Chava, it was all ego. It was all, they thought that they could, outsmart God, not in a negative way. They would just, Hashem said to do one thing, they did something else. You think you're gonna succeed by hacking into the system. If Hashem says keep Shabbos and don't go to work, then you think if you go to work you're gonna make more money. Why would God give you more money by breaking His rules? Why would God? I say this to the girls sometimes when they're getting dressed. Why would you think that you're gonna have more luck getting married by dressing inappropriately? Why would God do that for you? Okay, sometimes it looks like Hashem gives us those kinds of tests, but always asking ourselves, am I doing this for my ego, or am I doing this because this is really the ratzon of God, really the will of God? Somebody asked the rabbi a question yesterday. They asked the Yinuka a question yesterday, and it was very relevant to all people, so that I know. Somebody said, what happens if you're always annoyed with people and you're always thinking the worst of people? Sometimes you see a person, they do something, and you figure it out. I know that motivation. That person did that and said that because they want this so and so to be impressed with them, or they want whatever it is. The Rav said a very interesting eitzah. He said, learn about the Beis HaMikdash from a book that has pictures in it of the temple, of the Beis HaMikdash. So I don't have that big Mishkan book. You have it? Good. I don't have it, but I do have the Ramchal's book on the third base on the third temple, and I ran to get it because I wanted to do that advice right away. If the Ram says an advice, that I needed to have that advice because I also think about people and get annoyed, like, why did she say? Why didn't she say? Why did he do this? Why didn't he do this? And you think badly of people. So what did I do? I ran to get that book, the Ramchal's book, and I was hoping that it was, yeah, you have that beautiful book. That's a beautiful book. And so learn that book. We have to learn that book. I have to learn that book. I have to first get that book, then I have to learn that book. But I do have the Ramchal's book on the third base on Mikdash, and it has one diagram in it. It doesn't have a picture, it has a diagram. So I ran to do that, to look at it, to fulfill the Rav's advice of, and what does one thing have to do with the other? I'm not sure. I can't. He didn't give a reason, but certainly the Beis Hamikdash, when it exists, is because we're all unified and we're all having good thoughts about each other. And when the third Beis Hamikdash comes, we're all going to have good thoughts about each other. We're going to stop judging each other negatively, and we're going to start judging each other favorably. So that's what he said to do. So we want to be humble. The next kavana of the matzah is ask Hashem to help us to stay humble, to stay low. Low grass doesn't get cut off when the lawnmower comes. That's a favorite expression of somebody that I know in chinuch, in Jewish education. Um, keep your head down, and when the lawnmower comes to chop everybody's heads off, if your head's down, you're not going to get, you won't get chopped off. In other words, stay low. Another. He should have a full name, and this is for a colleague of mine from America. He used to say, I used to laugh at him, but he used to say, be mediocre. Now, that's not a good thing. I'm not advising that to do that, but the idea is stay humble. Don't try to be the face, the front, the this, the that, unless Hashem wants you to do that, unless Hashem needs you to do that. That's why my Rav, he stayed hidden for all the years. He refused to go in public until one of the big Rosh Hashivas here told him he has to, and then he did. But he didn't want to. So sometimes you have to be in the public eye. Sometimes you don't have to be in the public eye. But certainly in our private relationships with people, we can stay humble. We can stay mechabed. People, we could respect everyone. So that's another thought that we have with the matzah, that we should be humble. And since the matzah is only water and flour, we have to remember, Rabbi Nachman says this, we have to remember that we serve Hashem in a simple way. You don't have to be complicated to serve Hashem. When I first started learning about Hisbodedus, which is having a private conversation with Hashem every single day, I wanted to, how do you do that? What do you do? How do you say? What do you say? You don't need to be complicated about anything in Torah. Just do simple. Be simple. Be simple and good and wholehearted. And of course, keep the law, keep the halacha, but it doesn't have to be complicated. If there's let's say you're taking upon yourself something that's an extra strict. It's not halacha, but it's extra strict. And if it makes you miserable, then just don't do it. The tzaddikim say, what kind of Torah should you be learning? Whatever Torah you like. Whatever subjects in Torah attracts you. Some people love halacha. They love to learn Jewish law. Some people like to learn the midrashim, the stories of the Chumash. Some people like to learn Tanakh. They like to learn the Jewish history in the Tanakh. Some people like to learn philosophy and hashkafa. Whatever you love to learn in Torah, that's what you should be learning. I'm glad you come to my shiur. It means you like it. So and I like teaching you. So when Yiddishkeit, when Judaism becomes too complicated, there's something that's off someplace. And it's the same thing with interpersonal relationships. Sometimes you get involved in something that's like a big complicated mess. And you know what? Oftentimes it could be fixed by just saying a simple truth. Like, you insulted me yesterday. I'm over it now, but you insulted me yesterday. Instead of telling this person to tell that person that you don't want to go there, you could just say a simple truth with a pure heart. That's called matzah. That's called being straight and being uncomplicated. Life doesn't have to be so complicated. There's always people will always tell you, there used to be an expression when you would ask somebody, like, are they dating somebody now? And they would say, like, it's complicated. Okay, it's complicated means there's something that's not straight there. There's something that has to be unraveled. So have kavanah when you're eating the matzah. I want to be a simple, good Jew. I want to have simple faith in people and trust in you, Hashem. I want to see the good in people. I want to be humble. I don't want to think that I'm superior. And if I'm talented, then let me be grateful for that talent. Let me be grateful, but not superior, not feeling I'm better than anybody else. Just to use my talents, nonstop to try to help Jews in this world, to try to help make this world a better place. Okay, now, if you still have time now, officially you're supposed to be swallowing the matzah, eating the matzah within 4 minutes. So all of these meditations, you could do quickly and intensely. The intensity is more important than the stretch of time that you do it. The intensity, give me emunah, give me healing, give me humility, give me health. Intense. Let me believe in you. Let me do all my mitzvah properly. Intense, as much as you can. And then if you have time afterwards, now you can do this like this. I like to do it as much. The YouTube just didn't work. Okay. I like to do it. We only have a few more minutes. I'm not going to continue with YouTube. I like to do this all 3 times that I'm eating the matzah. Now the maror has a different kavanah, so I want to go through the maror. But I like to do the matzah kavanas as much as I can, over and over again. There are 3 times I'm eating the matzah. Quickly, the maror, the kavanah of the maror. The kavanah of the maror is, so we dip matzah salt 3 times. Yeah, some people do. Some people do. My father didn't, but some people do. And the Fardim do. So you can dip in the matzah. You can dip the matzah in salt. Okay. The maror. The maror is in the Seder plate, which we didn't talk about at all, but in the Seder plate, the maror is in the smack in the middle of the Seder plate, and it represents Tiferes. Tiferes is also very healing. It's a very healing, balanced midah, and so, um, and so, with the maror, what you're allowed to have in mind is very quickly remember all the miserable stuff that happened to you in your life, and then say Gamzu Latova. As you're eating the maror by itself, you remember you had merirus in your life. Everybody's has merirus in their life. Everybody's had bitterness in their life. You can remember those things and then say Hashem, somehow, because it's from you and because you made it happen, it's somehow a fixing for me. It's a tikkun, and I accept it. Atat tzaddik al kol ha'ba'aleinu. Hashem, you're the tzaddik on everything that happens to us. That's maror, and I want to eventually see my prayer. My prayer is I want to see the goodness that happened from the bitterness that I experienced. And if a person never has death in their life, person passed away, so they have to know that that person's in a very good place, and they have to remember them. They have to strengthen themselves in the remembrance of Gan Eden, the world of souls, etc., etc. Okay, the sandwich. When we do the sandwich, we're going to dip a little bit of the maror into charoset. The charoset is sweet, and it represents misery. Right? It represents the bricks that the Jewish people made, and it's sweet. Why did Chazal do that? Why did they make us a sweet food representing the bricks? The same idea. That stuff that looks terrible to us is really somehow has a redemptive factor to it. It has some goodness in it. We don't know what it is. Some people live a whole entire life with misery. You know that? It's because they're fixing something, or they're not getting something. There's something that they're just not learning. And Hashem says, I'll try to teach it to you again, and try to teach it to you again, until you figure out what it is. And if you can't, and if that's your case, then you have to scream out to Hashem. Scream out to Hashem. What is it that I'm supposed to know from this? What is this for? Teach me, teach me. And then Hashem teaches you. He puts ideas into your head, makes you understand things, and then the problem goes away. You have to be, the main thing is the power behind the scream. So I'll tell you a funny story that happened to me around this time of the year, a few years ago. I was having a lot of tension, a lot of pressures were going on with an apartment and moving, and I was really, really, I don't like that kind of, I don't mind teaching. I could teach day and night, but I don't like dealing with stuff. So, and I was dealing with a lot of stuff. It was very hard for me. And then one day I woke up in the morning and my refrigerator wasn't working. On top of everything, the refrigerator didn't work. And I screamed out to Hashem, what? Just like that, just that word. I screamed out in my kitchen. Anyway, I just couldn't, I didn't have any more. And then Hashem showed me, he said, you know what, go check the fuses. And sure enough, the building had a fuse out and the fuse was off and it was nothing with the refrigerator. Sometimes you give a good geschrei, you give a good yell, a good scream, if it comes from a really, really desperate place, and Hashem just right away shows you the answer. Okay, that's some of the kavanot that we're having for the Pesach. Oh, when you're having the wine. When you're having the wine, you're begging Hashem for the redemption. The wine is representing freedom, representing letting go, like on Purim, letting go of what you think should be, and just opening up to what Hashem wants to be. So we're begging Hashem every one of the cups of wine, every one of the 4 cups of wine. We're asking Hashem to please redeem us. He already redeemed us. He should redeem us again. We should be free of all the things that are limiting us. That's what the wine is all about. Freedom of all the things that the things that limit us are our own brains, right? Sometimes we just have self-destructive thoughts. Like, stop it already. Let's be positive. Let's think positively. Let's think energetically. I don't care what the negative is in the world. Everybody has negative, but people who have a positive attitude, you wouldn't believe that they have negative in their life. People think they have it made because they're always positive. So the wine is freedom from negativity. So you're asking Hashem for that. I want you, from people who are in Chutz La'aretz, please ask Hashem also at some point in the Seder to help you to come to Eretz Yisrael. We have to daven to stay here. Of course, peace here in Eretz Yisrael. We should have a Torah government that's not going to force anybody to do anything, but just going to allow people to live a Torah life without feeling embarrassed or without feeling anything. You all want to come here. You want to buy a property here. You want to be comfortable here. You want to have enough money to live here. You want to have enough money to live here. Everybody wants to have a lot of money. We want to have ashirus dikadusha. We want to have holy wealth. Want to have holy wealth. And then, all night long, the more you talk about the miracles that happen in your life, the better it is. The more you talk about miracles. So usually at the Pesach Seder, there's so much going on, and the whole Seder lasts how many hours to last? 4, 5, 6 hours. And we forget to talk. We forget to say, we forget. So I'm trying to help us. Write these things down in your Haggadah. Someone's going to write notes, or you're going to write the things down in your Haggadah. And I write it in my Haggadah. And Bezrat Hashem, we should have a Chag Kosher v'Samech, a happy Pesach,
Amen.
a healthy Pesach,
Thank you.
sweet Pesach. Don't go crazy cooking. Really, do the best that you can, but don't go crazy. Don't measure yourself by how many courses. Don't measure yourself by how many courses you make.
Yeah, can happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Amazing.
Now,
amazing. Thank you.
Let me say hi to everybody. Hi, Viva. Hi, Chana Singer. Hi, Dahlia. We're waiting for your mazel tov. Hi, Emma Rose. Hi, Geraldine. You were the first one on. Hi, Katie. Hi, Nomi. Hi, Pauline. No, Pauline was the first one on. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Shulamit. Hi, Sarala. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Zoom user. And all the people that popped off and popped. I'm sorry, my internet wasn't so great. So the YouTube shut down. And I see a lot of people popped off. So Bezrat Hashem, we should all have a happy Pesach.
Amen.
Bezrat Hashem, thank you.
What are you? What is that your message from last year?
Frozen. I was frozen.
Happy comment.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can you hear Yudit Batia
Thank
there?
you so much. Thank you.
Can we hear you, Yudit?
Thank you
Because
so
of you,
much.
and
Kosher
Silber.
Pesach.
Because you
Kosher Pesach.
saved the afikomen, and we've been eating it all year. Whenever someone's sick, we take a little nibble.
Good.
Still
Oh,
here.
good for you.
Beautiful.
Oh, there you
Beautiful.
go.
Okay.
And I keep a little tiny crumb of the afikoman that I got from a big tzaddik in my wallet, and I keep it with me all the time. That's
I
right,
should do that. I
Hashem.
got one from Rav Gamliel.
Okay,
I
love
should
you
put it in my
guys.
wallet.
Oh, keep it in your wallet. Keep it with you at all times. Put it in a plastic bag and keep it with you all the time.
Okay. So Ezra
I
Hashem,
can't
if
hear you,
any- if you
Geraldine,
need-
but I'm
if you
sure
need
you're
anything
saying nice things.
from London, Rebbetzin, I'm happy to bring, but I will speak to you. But Ezra Hashem, I'll get to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
one
Bye-bye.
second.
Mazel tov, Aviva.
Thank you so
Rebbetzin,
much.
you're leaving tonight.
I
You're
leave
welcome
at
to
9 o'clock. I arrive at 5 a.m. It's really 4 a.m., but your time's changed, so it's 5.
Okay.
And I'll go to my mom
I want
in
to tell you that
Shorish.
the Nates tomorrow, 1 second. The Nates today, I have to figure out the time. It's 4:45, 40.
In the
Uh,
playroom cupboard. And put it, Daniela,
You
put
can
it
daven
in,
by
in
the
a,
Nates
in
when
a
you get
bag.
in. What's
Okay,
I'm
what
almost
time's the
at
earliest I
time.
can daven?
No, if it's going to be 4 o'clock, the earliest you can daven, let's see, if it's 4 o'clock, the earliest you can start davening shach is about 4:30, so it means 5:30. When you get in, you can
Okay.
start davening.
Okay, so I can daven when I get in. Okay,
Nice.
amazing.
And where are you going straight to?
I'm going probably to my mother in Shoresh, and then I'm going
Daniela,
to go and see my
you have
son
to, these
in the
are from my
old
friend.
city,
She had
and then
a
I'm
wedding and
Shabbos
she gave it to me,
in
but it
Tailstone.
throw it away.
Okay.
So, but Ezra Hashem. You never know. I'm hoping that I don't have to come home and start Pesach cleaning. I've done one cupboard, but everything's on the counter.
That's how it goes. Everything is out.
Everything's out. Okay.
I did my
Okay.
fridge. It was my hardest job.
Now that we're done. Baruch Hashem. Not the fridge, the freezer.
Okie dokie, everybody.
Okay.
Be in touch.
Good
I miss you
Shabbos,
all already, but
everybody.
be in touch. Good Shabbos, good
Okay,
Yantiv.
I will. Thank you. Good Shabbos, everybody.
Bye. One
Achamalu.
second. You have to close the meeting.
I don't have
And
to.
Joanne,
Oh,
figure out before the next year how to do that thing.
I've
so that'll
already
be-
asked somebody to come and put it on my computer.
Okay, Mitsuya. Okay, great.
Okay. I've got to get somebody to
Bye.
do it. I'm not very good at these things.
You're good at it. Have the right
I'm
answer.
learning. I've got to write down the steps. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.